All right. My husband got jealous over the girl he led on for years at our wedding. I, 25 female, got married to my husband, 24 male, we'll call him Jim, a week ago after dating for 2.5 years. Jim has a friend called Misha, 22 female, who was invited to the wedding. He and Misha have known each other since high school and were close friends, and Misha had a very obvious crush on Jim, from what he and others who know them have told me. Jim told me this after I met Misha for the first time and confessed that he leaned into her crush and led her on throughout their high school years and for a little while after, before we got together because he was struggling with his mental health and he really liked her attention. He seemed genuinely guilty about all that because he thought Misha was a nice girl and a good friend, and because he showed guilt, I didn't feel the need to bring it up or argue about it despite thinking it was a shitty thing to do. Plus, Misha is a nice girl who has never overstepped boundaries and has been nothing but kind and friendly towards me, and I now consider her a friend too. Misha moved away to the city last year and has done really well for herself, and has a long-term boyfriend who none of us has met yet. So when it came to sending wedding invites, I told her she was welcome to bring him as her +1. The first red flag came when Jim was weirdly resistant to the idea of Misha bringing her boyfriend, but he excused it on being concerned about the number of guests we invited, and the matter was dropped. When the wedding day came, Misha showed up in this beautiful dress, nothing inappropriate for a wedding, and with her boyfriend on her arm, who I'll admit is a very handsome guy. Think Kit Harington type. She's also lost weight and has a haircut that suits her better, and I thought she looked great. We also found out throughout the night that her boyfriend is very successful and earns more than practically anyone else who attended. Throughout the reception, I noticed Jim glaring at Misha and her boyfriend the whole time, and he was really cold and short towards her when she came over to congratulate us and give us a gift. He was also straight up kind of rude to her boyfriend when Misha introduced us to him. When his mom, who's always known and liked Misha, mentioned that she was glad Misha found a great guy and praised her boyfriend for being so nice, Jim snapped that, quote, at least she won't be desperate and hung up on me for the rest of her life, which I thought was cruel and uncalled for, but I didn't challenge him because I didn't want to argue at my wedding, despite the fact that he frankly sounded bitter. The whole thing has left an awful taste in my mouth, and I can't help but think that Jim got jealous that Misha has found a guy who's honestly quite a catch, who she's clearly very in love with and is now completely over Jim.
That's a sticky situation. That's a red flag. Why do you want to invite her to the wedding in the first place?
Literally hours after you get married.
That's icky.
I'm
so happy we had a small wedding.
You find out that your husband is hung up on another girl? Awesome.
It's great.
It's a great time to find out.
Start this marriage off on the right foot. Who's there?
Divorce.
Nope. Wrong.
Who's there?
Annulment.
The same thing.
No, it's different.
It's the same.
No, it's different.
All right, some relevant comments. It's giving bitter. Can't imagine how that must have been for you. Says a lot about his character, TBH. Okay, replied, it felt a lot like watching a kid get upset at another kid for playing with a toy they personally never wanted to play with in the first place, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely, that makes 100% sense in an adult form.
There's a half update that says, after getting some personal messages from people, I decided to go through his phone while he was napping after work, and needless to say, this marriage is over. I'll post a real update when I've sorted everything out.
Bet you he was cheating with somebody else. If you get jealous like that over somebody who's like trying to like come at after you and stuff like that, and you just had fun like leading them on, like you're a shitty person. You're probably doing other shitty things.
Agreed. So the update comes 8 days later. Pretty much the day after my original post, I got some PMs from people suggesting that I go through my husband Jim's phone to see if he and Misha were truly just friends before this, and that nothing romantic happened between them that would explain his reaction at the wedding. He always takes a 45-minute nap after work, and so I used that as my opportunity to swipe his phone from where it was charging on his desk so that I could look through it.
Was he 57?
I've seen him put in his passcode a ton of times, So that wasn't an issue.
What do you mean you've seen him?
What do you mean?
What do you mean you've seen him put in his passcode a ton of times? So that was an issue. Like, oh, I was easy to like able to hack it because I secretly knew his passcode. No, you said you like openly sharing phones.
You should have the Face ID.
Yeah.
What is going on here?
Yeah.
I didn't find anything in his text with her, but I know that Jim goes on Instagram a lot, so I checked there too. The immediate red flag was that he used an app lock that required a passcode to access Instagram. But the dumbass used the same passcode that he uses to unlock his phone, so I got into that right away. It's his birth year. Go figure.
Dumb ass. Oh my God. But like you would have to think, like if you're a stupid enough person to like fuck around with your relationship and not be serious and like do other kinds of shit, it's pretty...
It tracks.
It tracks. It's likely. It's likely that you're going to use the same password.
Yeah. And what would you know? I go to his messages with Misha and find messages from him the morning after our wedding, telling her how beautiful she had looked that night, how much he'd missed her, how he felt that her boyfriend being there spoiled his opportunity to catch up with her, and that he was desperate to meet up with her. Misha never replied to these messages, and he sent some more to her later that day. I won't get into what he said because they were very personal insults that were frankly just gross. But just think about the kind of stuff that you would read on the Nice Guys subreddit. Misha left him on read, and when I clicked on her account, it appears that she blocked him. I scrolled through their messages quite far back, and I believe nothing romantic has happened between them.
So when he's like, oh, I want to catch up with you, and she just doesn't reply, then it's just into the insults.
Yeah. I wish that was all, but looking into his other conversations on Instagram, I found that he's been messaging other girls on there. These seemed like aspiring Instagram model types from our area. Most of these conversations were just him shooting his shot and getting left on read, but others had evolved into flirting, and 2 of them resulted in sexting. And the most embarrassing part of all, the nudes he was sending to these women weren't even of him. I know what his body looks like, and he doesn't have chiseled abs and isn't that well endowed. Endowed? How do you...
No, that was good.
I think he must have found a man's profile on some adult website and used those pictures just cropping the face out. These 2 conversations happened in the past 6 months.
Oh my God, it's pathetic.
I ended up texting his mom and his brother from my phone, asking them to come and pick him up from the apartment, and then I went to wake him up. I told him that I knew about the girls he was messaging on Instagram and that he needed to pack a bag and get the hell out before I started throwing his stuff out on the street and causing a scene. He started crying and begging me not to kick him out and swore that they were just messages and that he would never actually cheat on me. But I don't believe him for a second.
That is cheating.
That is cheating.
Yep.
Then he had the nerve to tell me that he didn't want me to tell anybody else about what he'd done, but I had left the room and started ignoring him at that point. He left with his mom and brother and is staying there from what I know. I've blocked him on everything, and for the time being, until I'm ready to tell him that I'm seeking an annulment. Thankfully, where I'm from, you can get one almost no questions asked, as long as you haven't been married for longer than 30 days, and I've already looked into the process.
I called it annulment.
I haven't really left my apartment at all this week, and I've been calling in sick to work because I don't feel like I can face people. I'm just so embarrassed that I've wasted over 2 years on this man, and that I married him in the first place. I don't know if I can even talk to people about this, so posting here has helped, and I'd like to thank you all for your kind words and advice and support. I might reach out to Misha when the dust has settled, but I think I'll need to build up some courage for that.
Man, I feel from her, like, I would imagine that she's feeling a lot of embarrassment for, like, work. Like, can you imagine you having to go back to work today, and we just got an annulment? Like, you're hyping up your wedding for a year or whatever, planning it and everything. And then you have to go back to work and being like, yeah, actually, my husband was a sleazy asshole.
Oh, yeah.
That's rough.
Yeah, that is. There's an update comes 4 months later. Hello, everyone. I just thought I'd give an update to my situation since I still get messages of support on here every week or so. You'll be glad to hear that I was able to get an annulment and didn't have to go through a messy divorce with Jim. I struck an agreement with him that I wouldn't tell a soul about his cheating or what happened with Misha, and would leave him alone forever if he agreed to the annulment and got it over quickly. I did end up sticking my end of the bargain, but it ended up not mattering because it turns out his brother is quite the gossip and let the cat out of the bag over Christmas after getting into an argument with Jim while drunk. A lot of Jim's family were pissed and asked for the money they contributed to his half of the wedding fund back, and some of our mutual friends have cut contact with him. A couple of our friends plastered everything on Facebook and humiliated him. It was interesting to watch the back and forth between them and Jim, honestly. I lived in our apartment and covered the rent on my own while he lived at his parents' until the lease ended back in January, and I'm now living with my dad, and I plan to stay here for a while and take things easy. In January, I also tried reaching out to Misha via text, asking if she'd like to meet up for coffee to talk about anything. I never got a response directly from her, but a few days later, I got a call from her number and it was her boyfriend on the other end. He said they were both sorry for what happened to me and that they hope I'm doing well, but that Misha thought it was best to cease any contact as this whole ordeal has made her anxiety and mental health problems spiral and has landed her back in therapy. I did ask why she never told me that Jim had messaged her that day after the wedding, and her boyfriend confessed that he advised her not to get involved, and his direct words were, "I'm sorry to sound rude, but it's not her circus." I'm a little disappointed that she doesn't want to talk to me, but I get where she's coming from, and I can't force her to do anything. To be honest, I think she's been looking for a way to divorce herself from our hometown and the people she and Jim knew back in high school for a while now. As for me, I'm also in therapy as I want to sort through my feelings and get back to feeling good about myself again before I even think about entering the dating scene again. I've always been firm about ending friendships with anyone who's taken Jim's side, and I don't want him finding his way back into my life again. So far, he stayed away from me and hasn't tried to contact me, although his mom reached out over Christmas to ask if there was any chance I might forgive Jim and take him back, as in her opinion, quote, "You two are just meant to be together."
Oh, fuck off.
I didn't respond to her, and I've blocked her on pretty much everything now, too.
You're done.
Thank you again for all your kind words and support. I'm certain leaving that asshole would have been harder for me had I not had hundreds of comments backing me up.
Oh my God. Fuck off, mom. Mom, mother, mommy's boy.
You guys are meant to be.
Shut up. Oh my God. Disgusting. But yeah, she's like a little disappointed she doesn't want to talk to you. Man, leave her alone. Leave her alone. Like, no wonder she doesn't want to talk to you. Fucking Jim's an asshole, probably ruined her fucking life. Like, all full of shit. Just like, move on. Move on.
They didn't really get to experience much married life, but
Nothing.
what they did was pretty terrible.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's rough.
Damn.
The words she says too is like, I haven't really been thought about getting into the dating scene again. Girl, it's been 4 months. Don't even think about that shit.
Yeah.
Just fucking live life. You don't need to get back in the dating scene.
I
I'm
imagine
not a
she
hobby,
said that
man.
because
Commenters.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Bro, the last thing. Bro, I wouldn't even be thinking about dating nothing for 7 years. Like, I'm out. I'm going on retirement.
Retirement from what?
Dating.
From dating.
Yeah, I like the top comment on this. I almost lost it laughing when I read he'd been sharing another guy's dick pics when DMing other girls.
How embarrassing for him.
That's pretty embarrassing.
That's the thing that he should have been like, "Oh, don't tell my family."
Yeah.
That's the
That's
part,
not what
bro.
it was about.
That is the part, because that is so embarrassing. That's more embarrassing than just messaging other girls. It's like
do you remember
stole someone's
yeah,
identity.
like, do you remember the aura, like negative aura and stuff?
Yeah, people used to say that.
Messaging other girls when you're like engaged, getting married, negative aura. Messaging them with like 6-pack abs that aren't yours, negative aura. Going out, finding dick pics that look close enough, and then sending those out that aren't your dick pics, just you're like so far in negative aura, like there's no redeeming you. You're done, Jim.
Jim is done.
Jim is done. Wasn't the guy in my story Jim too?
I don't know.
No, that was Joe.
Oh, Joe, yeah.
Jim and Joe and Jimmy John.
And Uncle Bob. Adieu.
Okay, back to me.